All right, so here we are at step one of the project that I introduced to you yesterday. And just to review a couple things about that project overall. So the idea here is that we're using basic human geography terms to create a new settlement. And the terms we're using are all of those terms that you spent some time defining over the last couple days. And then right underneath that title right here, another reminder of what we're trying to make sure we can accomplish here in the learning target, which is identify and define major human geography terms. So I'll read through the instructions here of step one, and then we'll spend the rest of the time going through how to do step one. It will take a little bit of time just to go through this, and it might be a good idea just to pause it, go back, watch some stuff over again, just so that you're sure of how to get this started, so that you start this off on a good foot. Yeah, so here we go. Step one, same thing as yesterday, but just going to read it again to review. Says you are emigrating from this place and immigrating to a new place for people to live. So right away we need to know the difference between those two things, emigration and immigration. If you just know it off the top of your head, great. If you need to look back at the terms and the definitions that you put, that's fine too. All right, you are choosing 15 to 20 people to bring with you. List their names, ages, genders, and races. It must be able to have autonomy by supporting itself with agriculture. You must create a boundary, and it should be away from existing high concentrations of people. Finally, you'll describe what crop will grow there. So here's the specifics. There's this whole document that you have. If you don't have it open right now, that's fine. If you have it printed, that's fine. If you're going to open it after this video, that's fine too, because I'll flip back and forth between this document and the map that you're going to be working in. So I just want to zoom up and talk specifically first about number one. So it says, describe your process of emigration. Why are you leaving? What is your plan? As I mentioned yesterday, this process of emigration, it can depend on where you are right now, and some of you are in the Twin Cities area, some of you are not. So whatever you use for that process of emigration is fine. And what I mean by describe your process of emigration is really these two questions right here. So if you answer these two questions, you're good to go. Do you need a real reason for leaving? Not really. It would be good, I think, to do something more than just I don't like it, or it's no fun, or something. There should be a reason that you're leaving, and then a little bit more detail on what's your plan. Like, how far away do you need to leave? Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how else to explain that, but try to at least come up with a little bit of some sort of plan that says, here's what we're going to do. Then number two will start involving your map. So it says to describe the place that you have decided to establish a new settlement. What made you decide to stop there? What are some things that you notice about that place? All right, so in the assignment, there is a map, and it's called Set 10 Settlement Map. You should be able to find that in Classroom for this assignment. And when you click on that map, it should take you here. Now, right away, if your map looks more like this, where it's kind of, brighter color, not realistic, please change it so that it looks like a satellite view, so it looks like the actual land. And to do that, you click this base map triangle, and then you click this one that says satellite. It's the top middle one. By clicking satellite, you get that real color of everything on your map. So I'm just going to show you what I'm talking about here with the document saying, describe the place you've decided to establish a new settlement. What made you decide to stop there? What do you notice about that place? So you're just going to take your map and just click and drag it around. And let's say you're in the Twin Cities metro area and you just kind of scroll around and say, I'm going to travel west. Well, traveling west would be just like going like that. If you say, ooh, I see there's nobody here. So you're going to try to make sure you're, again, away from high concentrations of people. And you could say, I'm going to go right here. There's nobody living here. Cool. But what do you notice about the land? Hopefully you notice that this land is all very rectangular. It's almost like a grid. And what that means is this is all existing farmland. And if it's existing farmland, somebody's already been there. Somebody's already established what this land is for. So I want you to try to find land that is not currently being used for supporting or sustaining people. So if you need to zoom out a little bit, if you need to keep traveling, you can keep traveling. If you want to stop, somewhere, then zoom up on it and try to look around a little bit and decide, is this a good place to stop? Now, if I zoom up here, yeah, there's nobody here, and clearly the land's not used for anything, but at the same time, it looks like there's no plants or trees. I'm not sure if that's the best place for me to stay. So I can zoom out again and just keep doing some exploration. Is it okay that it takes you a while? Sure, that's fine. Are you limited to just the United States? No, you're not. You can go anywhere in the world that you might want to go. Just keep in mind that you need to be able to sustain and support your people that you're bringing along with you. So if you say, I'm going to go up here, there is nobody up here. Well, yeah, there's nobody up there. But that's because it's freezing cold constantly throughout the year. So make some decisions of where you're going to go. If you happen to choose a spot and it works and there's not already a ton of people there and all sorts of things. So I'm just going to say, ooh, that caught my eye right there. This Lake Cozhozero. There's not a single soul anywhere around here. Has a nice river that's feeding into it and another river that feeds into it over here. I think this is going to be my spot. Now, I did not decide to settle here before starting this. I just decided to do it. And what caught my attention is that just south of this were some other lakes, but those other lakes had little towns that showed up nearby. And so, especially with this big one right there. And so I saw this little one. There it is. I saw that little one and just decided to check it out. It caught my attention. So in your number 2, if I'm going to describe the place that I've decided to establish a new settlement, well, I would use physical geography terms to do that. So I might say things like, there are 2 rivers feeding into a lake. The lake is somewhat narrow. There's a lot of vegetation around the lake. Looks like the soil may be a little sandy. It's hard to tell for sure. But I can get a lot of descriptions from just looking at the physical geography here. So that's the first part of this. What made you decide to stop there? Well, I was looking for a way to make sure I had a source of fresh water no matter where I went. So I wanted to look for rivers and lakes. And finally, what are some things you notice about that place? Well, I noticed that it's very green, but also there's a lot of what kind of looks like muddy stuff, or maybe wetland, marshy stuff. We'll have to see. Eventually, I'll explore this region a little bit more. Other things I noticed is that there are lots of small lakes surrounding the area. So I would just write those couple of things in here, and then you're good to go. The who did you bring along with you is just totally up to you. You can use fake people, you can use real people, you can use celebrities. It doesn't really matter. But when you put a person in here, you're always going to put the name, then you're going to put the age, the gender, and race, and have all that information in each box. And then move on to your next box, and you could say the same types of things. Okay, so again, you can make up names, you can use names of family members, celebrities. It doesn't really matter a whole lot, as long as you have this information in each box. There are 20 boxes here. You can fill them all up, or you can do 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Doesn't matter, as long as you're between 15 and 20. All right, I'll get rid of that so that yours doesn't have that automatically in there. Then, after you fill that part out, you're not going to do anything with it yet. You'll do that. You'll do some stuff with it later. Number 4 then says that you should describe the agricultural plan that you will use to support your settlement. And what that means is, how will you use the land to support the people? So I don't see a whole lot of stuff around this lake, but I know what the lake is. I can also, if I zoom out, I can also see that I'm in the northwest part of Russia. And there's my lake that I live on now. So what I can do is a quick Google search to find out what are the are there crops that grow in that region. You could also use this other map that says terrain, and this gives us a good idea of how excuse me, I just yawned. It gives us a good idea of how hilly or mountainous this land is, and if it'd be good for farming or not. So as I look at it, it looks like we could probably grow some stuff here. It is northwest Russia, so it might be a little chilly every once in a while, but I think good for growing some things at least. If you're not sure and you don't want to take some guesses, then you can look up this place and search for soil types and things like that, based on the region that you're in. Okay, so that's number 4. Agriculture can be, plants that you're using for food. Agriculture can be ways that you're going to use the land to build things. How are you going to use the land to support your people? Finally, you are going to describe the boundary of your settlement. What is its shape, size? Does it follow some physical geography features? So, what you need to do is actually create a shape on this map. To do that, you are going to go up to the top, and there's this tool right here with the little circles and little lines. There's 3 circles and 3 lines. And that says draw a line. So you're going to choose that tool. And when you do, you're going to say add line or shape. All right, so now that I've done that, oops, I didn't want to do that. Cancel. I got to zoom out a little bit. Or just move it. Okay, so here's my settlement. I want to go right on this Lake Kozozero. I'm going to choose that draw a line tool, add line or shape. and now I'm going to make some decisions on where exactly I will settle. Should I use the entire lake? I don't know. I don't think I'll do that. I think I like this top side a little bit better, just because it has this extra water source here, and it's got this little lake for maybe an extra barrier. So what I'm going to do is just click once, and then move my mouse. And every time you click, a little white dot will appear. And at that point, you can change the direction of your settlement, or of your pointer. So I like that little isthmus right there. That's kind of cool. I am going to make sure that I can go all the way to the top. And then from here, I'm going to show you what it looks like if you follow the landscape. So here I'm just dragging and clicking over and over and over. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it actually looks a little bit nicer. And gives you a better idea of where your settlement is. Okay, so once you get back to the beginning, it'll turn back to that finger, push it, and then it will say, hey, you created a polygon. So right away you need to name it, and I'll name it Example City. How's that for example settlement? And then in this second box, this little description box, I want you to put your name here so that I know whose is whose and you all know whose is whose. So I'll say save, and it gives me some statistics right away. So this right here is the area of my settlement. My area is 40 square miles. That's pretty big. And the perimeter around the whole settlement is 33.1 square miles, or 33.1 miles. So if we would walk all the way around my settlement, it would take you on a 33-mile walk, start to finish. Now, as I get off of that, you can kind of tell already it's not the easiest to see because of the color. So what I want you to do is change the color. You're going to click the shape and click that paint bucket right there, and then just choose a different color. Now it's a little bit more recognizable. You can also adjust the transparency and make it slightly brighter, but I want to make sure that you and I can both see through the color into the land, so we know kind of what's there. All right, so now there's my settlement. It's also listed over here. Eventually you should see a total of 6 settlements. One is going to be mine. It's just going to sit there called Example Settlement, and I'll throw some other things in there eventually to help you with some other parts of this. But you should see your settlement and your classmates all over here. And anytime you need to see anybody else's, see where they're at, what they're doing, you can just click on it. So now if I click here, hey, it says Example Settlement, and there's my information. Shows me where it is. I can look at it. I can zoom up a little bit. Oh yeah, it's right there. So now I can compare where my settlement is to some nations around the European region. And then as I think all the way back to answering number 5, describe the boundary of your settlement, its shape, its size. Does it follow some physical geography features? Well, its shape is irregular. There's a few straight lines, but it's kind of a weird shape. Does it follow some physical geography features? Totally. It follows this lake shore and includes this kind of island. Which I'm just noticing has a monastery on it, but I'm going to be okay with that. So yeah, it follows some physical geography features, and I would just explain what those features are. So it's following the shoreline of a lake, and it also includes a river that is going to run through the settlement. Its size, so there's 2 ways again that you show its size. If you just click on the shape again, It shows me the area and the perimeter. You can just put both of those things in for number 5. I will tell you, I don't want you to have anything with more than, I would say, nothing with more than 40 miles of perimeter. So nothing that's more than like 50 square miles or so. Otherwise, it just gets too big. So we talked about its shape and its size. Does it follow some physical geography features? Well, yeah, mine did. So that is step 1 of this whole process. So what you can do right now is go back to number 1 on your document, whether you have that on just the computer or whether you have it printed out and you're going to write on it. You can go back to number 1 and start filling out all the information for each of these sections. This explanation went for a good 20 minutes or so. So I don't want you to work on this any more than another 20 minutes. So this step 1, this is worth 2 class periods here. So you can do it for the rest of today for about 20 minutes. Do it tomorrow for tomorrow's class. And then we'll be ready to move on to step 2 on what should be Thursday, I believe. All right. So ask your questions if you have any questions. Otherwise, can't wait to see your settlements. I don't know if I mentioned it. I think I did, but I just want to be sure. All of you will be working with the same map. So now that my stuff is here, nobody else should put their stuff anywhere near where I am. Okay? Make sure you use the entire world to space out. You'll be able to see everybody else's shapes. So that's kind of cool. All right. Enough talking. You can get to work. I look forward to seeing what you do.